right, folks. You're flying Tironan's Unfriendly Skies, and, as Monty Python says, now for something entirely different. We have the KI-45 Heavy Fighter. And yes, it will slow down my progressions towards the the F-84-F. But this is something I need to cover. So, now that it's on the normal progression system, I don't have to spend more tokens on it. I am looking at the aircraft. And, by the way, this was a normal. The KI-45 Toru was a standard fighter of Japan. It is not a one-off model. It was used constantly. And it has a long history, and I will be doing a second video on the history of the aircraft. But for today, we're just looking at it as far as World War planes is concerned. Now, also, keeping with how you get the aircraft, you'll notice this is a unmodified Tier 1 configuration. Haven't even bought the bombs for it yet. Let's take a look at what we get. You have a 20 millimeter HO3, which, by the way, was a sized up M2 50 caliber Browning machine gun. They went that route and actually did very well for them. And you have the 7.7 Type 89C machine guns. So you got a mixture of what I would consider to be World War I armament and World War II armament. Cumulative damage is 115. Optimal distance is 1969 feet. But I will tell you that your rifle, and you can see it right here, your rifle caliber machine guns are going to be effective at about 1,300 feet. Defensive armament, you have a 7.7 TE4, which is a mildly warmed over Lewis machine gun. So if you're counting on this to actually have any real effect, 24 points of damage per second. So not much. When you upgrade the aircraft, you get you double that. You have two 7.92 Type 98s. But we're going to fly this just the way that you get it. And I am promising nothing. I have never flown this aircraft. You and I are going to be learning this together. So, let's take it to battle and see what we have. Now, as I mentioned before, this was a standard operating aircraft for the Japanese Army Air Force. Heavy fighter / bomber for them. And as for how this thing flies, I don't know. So we're going to learn together. All right. So what I want out of this is I want that military base. We're going to find out how the guns perform here right now. have somebody on my tail, obviously enough. Bee fighter, bow fighter, excuse me. And we have an A5 down here. Fairly heavy traffic. We're going to be trying to use speed, which is not bad on this. As for your forward firepower, it really could use some work. We're going ahead and deploy flaps to get back around. I'll slow it down here a little bit. Now, we don't have any repair facilities here, so what we got is what we got. If you're hoping for the second coming of the KI-43, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to find it here. Alright, well, I can tell you that my first goal was going to be to upgrade the armament on this thing, because it's a little disgusting. Especially when you're confronted with a Corsair. Oh, goodness. I don't think there is a model of the Corsair I've made that ever came out with anything less than 650s. I also want to point out that the level of competition I'm facing here is extremely poor. So far, I'm only seeing bots, is what I'm saying. And you will have to pull a sufficient amount of lead. It's true of all aircraft, it's especially true of this one. You and that sniper sight are going to get to be really good friends here. It does have nice altitude capacity for this tier, I will say that. We have superiority, and I'm here to assure you that I don't have a whole lot to do with that. Sorry, I'm known for being blunt, but this is my first time in the aircraft, and this is a completely unimproved machine with a 50% pilot in it. So I am flying a beginner's machine in every sense of the term. Now, if you brought this up from your standard line and put a better pilot in it, I'm sure you would get much better performance. But I do not have any pilots that have better skills for this aircraft. The Japanese line has been fairly restricted at this point, until this point. Okay, so we got 7 kills, 1 assist. Came out strictly mid-level, and that's deserved. Okay, so now we're going to start upgrading. And we'll go up to the first engine. And we will go up to the twin, and I'm pretty sure these are Browning Browning M2 machine guns. And we can put a couple of bombs on this. Now these are going to be 550 kilogram or 550 pound, 250 kilogram bombs, which is a useful bomb load on these. And we've also upgraded the turret to a twin well, it's still showing that it's a 7.92 instead of a 7.7. And as you would expect, there's very little difference between rifle calibers, which is the way that it should be. Okay, we'll look at anything else in case I'm missing it. You'll notice there is nothing for a sight on this, how I'm using. So I guess you got to get to specialist before you can put a sight on a heavy fighter. Alright, so we're trying to do the phase 3 of this.
Pilots, get ready for action. Let's go.
Now the speed of these is pretty good. So far I've been less than impressed by the climbing ability of them. And not all that impressed by the firepower. And that's a major improvement. So the third tier, you end up with your 20 millimeter, your 2, and your 37 millimeter. Oh, that's less than handy. Okay, so we locked up, but that's okay. We got it anyway. And now we have a Yak 7 coming in. Maneuverability on this is not bad. For a heavy fighter, you're sub 13 seconds, which as such things go isn't awful. I'm not sure where he's going, and I'm not sure he's going to recover from that, and oh darn near collided. Alright, we need to get over on this side and help out. And we have targets.
A rocket has reached the target. Enemy objects damaged.
If you're counting on your real tail gunner to contribute to your defense, that isn't going to happen. Alright, I'm afraid it's just... he didn't have the wherewithal to really start pressing his case. Alright, so we've got superiority going. And as you can tell, the damage has gone up considerably. And we still have superiority.
Way to go. Victory is close. Head back home.
And we had a very good showing there for once. Yes, you can have peace through superior firepower. Alright, we'll go back and see what we did here. Okay, so not bad silver, not bad experience. Got some free experience out of it. We destroyed 9 aerial targets. Came in number 1 fairly handily with that one. And there you go. And now the pilots are at 59% each. Yeah, I could spend 200,000 on bringing it up to 90%, but it's just I'm not going to do it. I've got bigger fish to fry at higher tiers. And it's, like I said, what I was trying to do is show if you come into the aircraft new for the first time, again, the aircraft is fully upgraded. And we've got all the gear it's going to get. Well, guess we could do that. Okay, now it's fully upgraded. I won't put Universal on there because it's just no reason to. Alright, so there we go. And now I have a Japanese Tier 5 aircraft. So my thoughts on the aircraft. Well, your forward firing, doing 245 DPS at Tier 5 is excellent. Bombs and rockets, you get a decent amount of both. And when we look at gear for that, I don't know if you get anything for the, you don't. Okay. So you want to say if you had an outboard station that specialized, it'd be the thing I'd suggest getting first and foremost, but you don't. You get a terrible reload time. You're talking 3 1/3 minutes between loads, which doesn't quite make it useless to carry, but after you drop them, I wouldn't count on a reload for a very good long time. So you make a case for not carrying them at all, I guess. But in another game, I actually captured, in fact, the last game there, you actually captured a sector with them by waiting until everybody else was done and then finishing up with them. So they can have their uses, but it's going to be situational at best. You're certainly not going to affect it by your constant and unending bomb load. So that's a consideration. All right. So this is the compendium, right? We've got the TI, the KI, 45 right now. The 102 is the next in line, and I now have taken 3,000 off that, so we've got 27,224 to go on that. What can we expect? And so we can talk about this aircraft and what we can expect on the next aircraft to some degree. Alright, so let's take a look at this one. We'll kick it up to Alright, you'll notice the maximum altitude rises quite a bit. The gun armament starts off with quite a bit more, 37 and 220 millimeters. Cumulative damage is 310 to start. You're finishing up here with less than that, 252. Maneuverability is not bad at 12.7. A lot of your American fighters are over 13 seconds. Airspeed, again, is not bad. You're looking at 304 with the last engine upgrade, which at Tier 5 is not bad at all. Maneuverability, we've talked about. And altitude performance is not bad. Okay, so we're looking at a nice upgrade path there. And if we go to the tech tree, you end up with a KI 93. And then I have owned both these planes and discarded them since. So that will be the end of our progression. We'll pull that up. At Tier 7. And gun armament then is going to be a 20 millimeter and a 57 millimeter. I had packs and punch, a pair of them actually. Cumulative damage of 440, and there should be some upgrades there. Defensive armament is still pathetic, by the way. But you're looking at 500 hit points there. Airspeed is 342. You're all the way up to 15 seconds here. And I did not look at the 102's maneuverability, 12.7. So you're going to take quite a bit of a jump there. But your optimal altitude is going to be 72.18, which is pretty darn good for a Tier 7. Okay. So what can you expect? Well, you're going to start off with a pair of 20 millimeters and a 37 millimeter, and then you're going to get an uprated 20 millimeter and a 57 millimeter. Hope it's a fast velocity. And then when you finish up here, you're going to start off with 20s and 57s, and you're going to go up them here as well. And they stay with, looks like they stay with 250s, pair of 250-pound bombs with it. Notice on the turns you go up to a pair of 27 millimeters. That's at least an improvement over where you are before. And here is where they introduce the 27 millimeters and the 102. So it looks like a nice progression. We'll see as we go through. Obviously, I've done all that I'm going to do for this video. Please remember to like the video, to subscribe, and if you want to support the channel, you can find the Patreon link on the channel page, upper right-hand corner. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Remember to be careful out there.